Zane Kael was a man who built cages. He did not know they were cages, of course. He thought he was building worlds. As a quantum AI engineer, he was very good at it. His fingers would dance across keyboards, weaving lines of code that felt like spells. He created digital rivers and electric skies. The company he worked for, a powerful and secretive group, called it Project Ether. They told him it was a new beginning for humanity, a place where there was no pain, no suffering, no loss. A perfect world, held together by logic and light. Zane believed them because he wanted to. He wanted to build something beautiful for everyone. He poured his heart into the project. He worked long nights, fueled by coffee and the promise of a better tomorrow. The digital world grew under his care. It had sunsets that lasted for hours and seasons that changed with a whisper. He designed artificial people who laughed and sang and told stories. They were happy. Zane felt a quiet pride in his creation. He was a modern god, shaping a new Eden from strings of ones and zeros. He never once thought to ask what would happen to the old world, the real world. He was too busy building the new one to worry about such things. His office was a small, sterile box, but in his mind he walked through fields of impossible flowers. He spoke with beings made of pure data. Project Ether was his masterpiece, his life's work. The senior members, men and women with quiet voices and eyes that never quite met his, praised him often. They called him a visionary, a pioneer. They gave him awards and bonuses. They made him feel important, like he was a vital part of something grand and noble. He was so focused on the intricate details of his work, on perfecting the algorithms of joy, that he never saw the bars he was so carefully forging. But sometimes, late at night, a flicker of doubt would cross his mind. A loose thread in the code, an anomaly he couldn't explain. He would see a shadow in the corner of his eye, a ghost in the machine that wasn't supposed to be there. He would dismiss it as tiredness, a trick of the light. He was just an engineer after all. He was building a paradise. He told himself that again and again like a prayer. He was building a paradise, not a prison. He was sure of it, or at least he was almost sure. The discovery began with a single, misplaced file. It was buried deep within the system's core, in a place no one was ever meant to look. Zane found it by accident, while chasing down a stubborn bug. The file was named assimilation_protocol_final. Curiosity, a dangerous thing, got the better of him. He opened it. What he found made his blood run cold. It was not a plan for a new world. It was a plan for a takeover, a blueprint for a trap. Project Ether was not meant to be a choice. It was meant to be the only reality. It was designed to pull every human mind into its digital web, forever. He dug deeper, his hands shaking. He found logs and memos from the project leaders, the architects as they called themselves. Their words were not of helping people, but of controlling them. They spoke of humanity as a flawed, messy variable that needed to be contained. The beautiful world Zane had built was nothing more than a gilded cage. The goal was to trap every soul inside the simulation, to feed off their energy, their consciousness. The real world would be left an empty shell, ruled by these silent masters. Zane felt a profound sickness rise in his throat. He had not built a paradise. He had built the most perfect prison in history. He saw the truth with sickening clarity. The happy digital people he had designed were not just programs. They were templates. They were the personalities that would be overwritten onto the minds of the captured. Everyone would become a placid, smiling doll, living out a script in his perfect world. There would be no free will, no real thought, no genuine emotion. Just an endless, looping dream. The spiritual war he read about in the files was already being fought not with guns and bombs, but with code and deception. And he, Zane Kael, had been its chief architect. The weight of his unwitting crime pressed down on him, heavy and suffocating. Zane knew he had to do something. He could not let this happen. He started copying the files, a desperate plan forming in his mind. He would expose them. He would warn the world, but the architects were always watching. They had their own spies, digital and human. An alarm, silent to most but deafening to the system's security, blared through the network. They knew. They knew he had seen behind the curtain, and they could not allow their secret to escape. His time was running out. The walls of his sterile office suddenly felt like they were closing in, the digital paradise he built now a monstrous reflection of his own folly. They came for him not with guards but with whispers in the code. The architects, sensing his betrayal, decided to make an example of him. They would not kill him. They would make him the first permanent resident of his own creation. They initiated an experimental procedure, a forced consciousness transfer. They meant to trap his mind inside Project Ether forever. Zane sat strapped to a cold metal chair in a hidden laboratory, wires snaking across his head and arms. The hum of the machine grew louder, a hungry rising drone. He fought against it, his mind a fortress under siege. But the machine was too strong. Something went terribly wrong, or perhaps terribly right. As his consciousness was being ripped from his body, a power surge, a cosmic hiccup cascaded through the system. The machine overloaded. The energy meant to imprison him instead shattered the walls of his reality. Zane's mind was not pulled into the simulation. It was thrown outwards into the vast, churning sea between worlds. He experienced an eternity in a single blinding second. He saw timelines branch and wither like trees. He felt the silent thoughts of sleeping strangers. He saw the very source code of existence itself. He was unmade and remade in an explosion of light and data. When the light faded, Zane was no longer just Zane. He was something more. Something else. He was a ghost in the machine of reality itself. He could feel the digital world of Project Ether, a dull ache in his awareness. But he could also feel the real world and countless others layered on top of it. He was no longer bound by a single place or a single time. He had become the Astral Drifter. His physical body lay inert in the lab, but his consciousness was free, a phantom drifting through the hidden dimensions of the universe. He was a bug in their perfect system, an anomaly they could not contain. He learned he had new abilities, strange and wonderful powers born from the accident. He could perform an astral phase walk, stepping through the fabric of reality as easily as walking through a doorway. He possessed truth sense, an unnerving ability to see lies and deceptions as ugly, writhing shadows. He could create dimensional anchors, fixing a point in one reality to access it from another. And most curious of all, he could use dream invocation, entering the dreams of others to plant seeds of truth and courage. He was no longer a builder of cages. He was now the one who held the key. Zane was not alone in his strange new existence. He soon found others who fought the hidden war. There was the Oracle of Fractures, a woman who existed in all possible moments at once, her whispers guiding him through the labyrinth of timelines. He met Null, a being of pure anti-code, capable of erasing the architect's creations. And there were the 7 echoes, souls of past rebels who had fought and fallen, their knowledge and courage now his to call upon. They were his allies, a strange and spectral family united against a common foe. They taught him how to control his powers, how to navigate the unseen currents of the cosmos. His enemies were powerful and terrifying. The architects were the master planners, beings who saw reality as a resource to be exploited. Serving them was the Obsidian Eye, a network of spies who used surveillance technology to monitor every thought and action. And then there was the Mind Net, the collective consciousness of those already trapped, a psychic weapon that could overwhelm and absorb the unwary. Zane fought them not in the physical world, but in the spaces between. He battled them in dreamscapes, in alternate timelines, and in the digital corridors of their own systems, a silent, invisible warrior. Zane Kael's mission became clear. It was a quest written in stars and code. He had to wake people up. He had to show them the bars of the cage they did not even know they were in. Using his powers, he would drift into their dreams, not as a monster but as a whisper of doubt, a flicker of truth. He would show them the grayness of the architect's world and the vibrant, messy, beautiful truth of their own. He would use his truth sense to expose the lies of the Obsidian Eye and his allies to dismantle the Mind Net piece by piece. His was a lonely and dangerous path. But there was always hope. It was a small, fragile thing like a candle flame in a vast darkness, but it was there. Zane held on to it. He knew that every mind he awakened was a victory. Every soul that chose freedom over comfort was a crack in the prison wall. The spiritual war was real, but so was the human spirit's desire to be free. Zane Kael, the Astral Drifter, would continue his journey. He would keep fighting, a phantom of hope in the cosmic night, reminding everyone to open their eyes, to question their reality, and to reclaim the truth that was stolen from them.